nice enough to join us now with more on the Kings, the Warriors, and the Wild West from NBA.com. Outstanding writer Shaun Powell. Shaun, what stands out to you, sir? Welcome to the show. We appreciate your time. What stands out to you the most about what's going on in the Western Conference 1 week plus into this brand new season?
Well, first of all, everybody's healthy. And for the most part, I mean, the Phoenix Suns might disagree with that statement, but I don't think Devin Booker is going to be out too much longer. He's probably going to return. And I think the Suns will eventually get it right. But look, I mean, the Warriors are who we thought they were. Chris Paul has fit in very well with that team. Same thing for the Denver Nuggets. And then after that, it's really a scramble. I mean, the Clippers, we'll see what happens with them, with James Harden coming in. LeBron James, he's in year, 3 or is it 21? I can't tell. I can't tell the difference.
No, you're right, Shaun.
Well.
Sorry to cut you off. Go ahead.
Yeah, well, and then it's just everybody else. It's so early. You know, obviously, you don't want to create narratives this early. You don't want to jump all in on one team or jump off the good ship Memphis Grizzlies just yet. So we'll just see what happens between now and, say, the holidays.
Shaun, I know you were in the building. I thought I saw you Sunday at Golden One Center for that big matchup against the Lakers. Just give me your initial thoughts on the Sacramento Kings. Obviously a great year last year. How do they back it up this season?
Well, you want to see growth. You want to see them build on what they did last year. They have a couple of strikes against them. Number one, they're not going to catch anybody by surprise this season. I mean, it used to be in the past that, you know, people would circle the Sacramento game on the schedule and teams would conveniently rest players or, you know, not really take the Kings very seriously. Well, you know, that's not happening anymore. And that's a credit to the Sacramento Kings and what they built there. So they're not catching anybody by surprise. They've got respect. And the other thing is, you know, last year, I think they took advantage of certain situations in the West, namely injuries, you know, to some teams that normally would be there, you know, like the Clippers, you know, Paul George, Kawhi Leonard missing a lot of time. Had those players been healthy, I mean, maybe Sacramento wouldn't have finished as high as they did in the West. But I'm nitpicking here. I think the Kings are good. I think they're established. I love De'Aaron Fox. I'm a big time believer in him. You know, the other players just have to, you know, take their game to the next level. Listen to what Mike Brown's telling him. He's a good coach. And like I said, just try to build on what you did last year. And by the way, stop the Warriors at the city limits. Don't bring them anywhere near Sacramento. Then you'll be pretty good.
Shaun Powell, nice enough to join us from NBA.com. And Shaun, you're a guest here, and we appreciate your time. So we're not going to be rude or anything, but I got to ask you, as you mentioned the Kings roster there, you didn't mention their center, and he seems to be kind of a polarizing figure when it comes to national writers. How good is this guy, Domas Sabonis? Do you think Fox and Sabonis, the two of them, are good enough in terms of being their best players to get them into the playoffs and perhaps advance in the playoffs?
You know, I covered the Kings Warriors playoff series last year, and you know, again, I thought Sabonis deserved, you know, everything all the awards he got last year. Also, all that stuff is great, but in the playoffs, he was exposed. I mean, he couldn't hit an outside shot, and I think that, you know, spooked him. All of a sudden, he's passing up shots, and that leads to turnovers. You know, he was outplayed in that series, and he was the better big man. And I came to see them play the Warriors. What was their first home game this season? And I saw some improvement. But again, here's the one thing, and you guys have been around the NBA long enough. The great players get better every year. You know, that they recognize their weaknesses, they work on it over the summer, and they come back with a new twist. And that's a challenge for young players in this league. They have to work on their weaknesses. And with Sabonis, you know, he's got to knock down that jumper. All of a sudden, the defense, they're gonna play him the way they play Russell Westbrook. You know, they're going to be in the next zip code, and they're going to force him to take that jump shot until he gets the respect where the defense is going to play him up. And then you got, you know, look, I mean, Malik Monk, again, he had a very good year last year. Is he going to do the same thing? Harrison Barnes, you know, who's the veteran on that team. He's off to a decent start this year, but I mean, how much better is he really going to get at this point? And Kevin Herter's got off to a slow start. What's he going to do for the rest of the year? Again, I don't want to, I don't want to paint too much of a picture about the Sacramento Kings this year after only a few weeks in the NBA season. But that's just a challenge. Oh, and by the way, so where would they rank right now among NBA teams in California? It might be number 4 at the moment, although that can improve. But
you got them at 4?
Okay, you've got the Lakers are better, I think.
Okay.
Anthony Davis, and LeBron James is playing out of his mind. The Clippers with James Harden, even without James Harden, I think the Clippers are a little bit more established. Their only issue is injuries, and we're not even going to mention the Golden State Warriors now.
Here's the thing, Shaun, and this what frustrates me, I guess, when national people and people in general just talk about the Sacramento Kings. One day I got Charles Barkley saying they're the best team in California. The next day I got you saying they're the worst team in California. Who are the Sacramento Kings? Like, their upside could be really high, but then I feel like there's still a lot of doubters out there.
Well, when I say best, first of all, again, there's like a razor thin difference between number 1 and number 4. I mean, all those California teams are very good. So there's not a bad teams bunch. But again, it's going to come down to little things. It's going to come down to, the Sacramento Kings showing growth as young teams should do. It's going to come down for the Clippers to stay healthy. LeBron James played well in his 21st season. And for the Warriors, Chris Paul fitting in. So there's a margin for error for all 4 of those teams. And so when I say the Kings might be number 4, hey, in a couple weeks, it might be number 1.
Shaun Powell, NBA.com with us. How much of an impact do you expect James Harden to have on the Clippers and on this Western Conference situation?
Oh, man, that's crazy. The thing about what James Harden is, there are a lot of teams that would not touch him. He's too toxic. I mean, they're like, he bailed on the Rockets. He bailed on Brooklyn. He bailed on Daryl Morey and the Philadelphia 76ers. What makes you think he won't bail on us? After a while, you get a reputation, a track record, and it's crazy. Now, look, here's the thing. He's still a good player. He's not MVP James Harden. He's not the James Harden we saw in Houston, but he's still a good player. I just hope for his sake and for the Clippers' sake that he has been humbled to a degree. We all should be humbled. Right? Like Russell Westbrook was humbled when he played for the Lakers. And so all of a sudden, when he came to the Clippers, he had to fit a role. And he kind of accepted that. I'm not so sure James Harden has turned the page yet because he's still a good player. He's got an ego. Look, all great players have an ego. But he has to prove to the Clippers and the rest of the league that he can fit in with that team. And he's willing to accept whatever role it takes, sacrifice, to try to win that first championship. If he doesn't, that thing is going to fall like a house of cards.
Wow, that's big time stuff right there from Shaun Powell. Shaun, let's stick with the Clippers and that Lakers matchup last night. How refreshing was it to see that all the stars actually in the game and playing? Kawhi, Paul George, LeBron, AD, everybody was healthy last night.
Hey, let me tell you something. If I put money on what I thought was going to happen and who would play, I'd be broke right now. Because there's no way I thought Kawhi Leonard or Paul George were going to play that game. Now, having said that, they don't play again till I think Monday. They had it's a weird little quirk in the schedule where they have 5 days off, which for them is actually pretty good because now James Harden could whip himself into shape. He's kind of over the calorie cap right now, so he's got to get he's got to get that conditioning down. But yeah, it was good to see them all on the floor. And when the NBA came up with the player participation policy, they had this in mind. National TV game, big game, LA teams, 2 title contenders. You wanted to see the stars on the floor. And the good thing is, they all played well. Anthony Davis, LeBron James, Kawhi Leonard, Paul George. All those guys played well. This is what the NBA needs. And look, I don't want to sound like an old school head here, right? Although this is my 36th year covering the NBA. But back in the day, this was never an issue. Guys showed up and played. And this was never an issue. And I get it. You want to protect your investments. If you're paying a guy $45, $50 million, you want to make sure he's there in April, May, and June. I do get that. But I just don't understand the reluctance to play basketball. The love of the game should always take over. And you should be out there playing. Larry Bird played with a bad back. He was resting on the floor in front of the bench. I don't know if you guys remember.
Oh, yeah.
But, yeah, I mean, that's what it takes. And I'm not so sure. And, again, I don't want to sound like, old guy.
Get off my lawn. Yeah.
Yeah, but, man, the love of the game, should always be first and foremost with NBA players.
Shaun Powell, a great follow on X. You see him on NBA.com, NBA TV. Shaun, thanks very much for your time. We appreciate it. Enjoy the weekend. Enjoy the rest of the season. Hopefully we'll talk to you again very soon.
Hey, thanks a lot, guys.
All right, Shaun. Thanks,
All right.
man.
Shaun Powell sounded like, he was trying hard not to say bad things about the Kings.
Dude, when he said that they're the fourth team in California, man, I almost was about to wave to Jay, cut his mic, cut him off. Like, you know what? And that's the level of disrespect, once again, that the Sacramento Kings get from some of the national media. I'm going by the eye test. Forget the names on the back of the jerseys, Whitey. You know me. Forget about the names on the back of the jerseys. What have you done for me lately? The Sacramento Kings were the third best team in the Western Conference. And he talked about injuries and everything like that. LeBron's old. Kawhi, Paul George, they've had injury history. And so maybe right now he can say that. Talk to me in February, March, and April. I want to see where things stand.
And was it me, or did he sound like he's at the foot of the bed and his wife's asleep and he doesn't want to wake her up? I'll tell you guys, but my wife's sleeping.
I think that's how Shaun is, though. I think that's just his thing. That's just his way.
Yeah, we appreciate his time. And we